Today I'm going to be discussing Team Ichigaki of Yu Yu Hakusho, the card game. A small introduction would be that Team Ichigaki is based around the good doctor himself and his creations of what he was doing to try and win the tournament. He usually would experiment on demons, but he found out that humans were just way better for everything. So what he did was he tricked 3 people, students of a martial artist, into doing what he wanted them to do so that he could have test subjects. In Yu Yu Hakusho, Ichigaki is based around pretty much the same thing he would normally do in the show. He's about calculating and trying to make his chances of victory better. So what they did was they took him using those to making your opponent's sideline face down stuff face up. Is it any good? In theory, yeah. Pretty much as you progress through any game, you will find that there are more items and more teams that do things based around these things, such as Team Sarayashiki or Team Genkai. Later on in the next set, they will be using techniques or items, and Ichigaki pretty much just shuts those down and just discards everything. When there comes to other things, though, it's not as good. The pros of it would be when you're fighting against a character, you pretty much make yourself have an upper hand at all points in time by being able to look at your opponent's stuff and to discard it, because that's what the characters do. And a bunch of other cards working with Team Ichigaki allow you to discard your opponent's stuff anyway. As for other things that are pros, your Ichigaki character itself allows you to lower your opponent's attack of anybody in the arena when you're using any team character based around your team. This allows you to get a higher chance of beating the opponent in that match. Cons are is that you're really weak with your characters. There's either not enough defense or they don't have that high of an attack. And when it comes to the characters specifically, they each have their own problem. Like, M1 discards items, and the ability to do damage is based around using items. Or you'll need to use a new technique, which not a lot of techniques in the first set are really that good, so there's no point in using them on him. When it comes to the second character, he's got a really weak attack, but he can use items. However, since he doesn't discard items, which are going to be the most used thing out of your opponent for your ability, for your team ability, you're not going to have that good of a chance of actually doing much of anything. When it comes to the third character, his attack cost is so high for set 1 that he's not really as useful as the other 2 characters, although his power just skyrockets with his own ability. As for the 2 final characters of Gatasabul and Ichigaki himself, Ichigaki is not a fighter. He's got no attack, he's got no defense, and even if he's got that regular, what his power would do to make him have pretty much 4,000 defense, he's going to get his ass kicked by just about every single fighter anyway. Who would these people have a hard time fighting against? Well, Toguro. Toguro doesn't need items. They have their ability to just pump up attacks by discarding 2 extra cards. If you use things on Toguro teams such as lowering your attack like Angel Blades, you pay for it once, and then any time you attack with it afterwards, you discard 2 and you get an extra 6,000 attack. Even with Ichigaki's ability to lower an attack, that's still not that much. They have a built-in boost. The second one would be Rikuyikai. Since each of their character gains 2,000 defense, your attacks, being as weak as they are, aren't going to deal that much damage. They're not that bad comparatively, as after the first fight, you're going to be adding on attack power to everybody else anyway, but it's still not going to be able to deal double damage with any of your attacks. The third one would probably be Team Saint Beast, because Team Saint Beast is tricky. They draw extra cards, they can deal more damage, do minimum damage if they needed to. They have abilities like the cat dude, who I can't remember at the moment because I don't remember the cards off the top of my head all the time. He lowers your opponent's defense while lowering your opponent's spirit and does whatever he does. And then there's other characters that, they all do things, so they're not going to be an easy person to defeat. They do, however, have an advantage over people like Team Urameshi and Team Meisho. Team Meisho is one of the worst teams in the entire game, being as they just get out their 5th character. And that's pretty much their only boost, and they just need items to actually get better. And since your opponent is going to be playing items or techniques to make their characters able to attack or deal damage, you're going to be discarding them off the opponent. As for Team Urameshi, the characters are relatively weak in the first set. They don't have anything except for just healing and discarding off the top of the opponent's deck, or that's pretty much about it. They use items to boost up their attack power, and people like Yusuke and Kurama and even Genkai they're item-heavy characters. So they're going to have the worst chance of actually beating Team Ichigaki. As for the deck itself, it's made up of minimum 44 cards, the best way to make it. 5 of those are going to be your fighters, while the other cards in the deck are going to be more staples that you need, such as Power Serum, Botan's Healing, Substitute, and Dr. Ichigaki's Control. They're essential in the deck because of these reasons for each. Like, Power Serum enhances one of your Ichigaki characters by 3,000 attack. That's a lot. Like, your first attack on M2 does 2,000 for 1, and a second does 5,000. You throw on a Power Serum, his first attack gets rid of a technique, and now has the power, like, of the second attack. When it comes to Botan's Healing, your main 3 fighters are all heroes, so they're going to be able to take that point of damage and then heal it back as soon as possible. As for Substitute, that's mainly for Dr. Ichigaki himself, since you're going to have him in the 4th slot for his power to go off, and then substitute him into the 5th one, because he's not supposed to fight ever. And lastly would be your Dr. Ichigaki's Control. The problem with the 2 main first characters and any character thereafter of what they do is they only discard their one thing, and that's it. And the 3rd character, 4th, and 5th don't discard anything. So those matches on, they seem to get worse. So cards like Dr. Ichigaki's Control, which allow you to manipulate your opponent's field, are essential in the deck, because while M1 comes out and discards items, he's going to have a hard time to discard techniques. And cards like the Genkai Bunch and Dr. Ichigaki's Control discard those cards. So the deck runs in a manner that you're going to put those in, and then the staples in general. Like, I'm calling you out. Burst of Power. Katie Love is a really decent card. It costs a lot of spirit, but that's okay. You're drawing 2 cards off of it. The way you're going to want to set it up is you want to put M1 in the first match slot, because it discards items and it stops your opponent from playing all of them, which, while they're holding cards in their hand, you're going to hold all of your Brokens and Dr. Ichigaki's Control. You're going to use your Genkai Bunch for the first few matches, and, well, the first match in general, and maybe the 3rd, because you're supposed to win within the first 3 matches. And you're going to have M1 there, destroying all your opponent's items or keeping them in his hand. When it comes to the second match, you're going to put on your Power Serums and keep all your Brokens and everything else you didn't use, and discard the opponent's items that they're going to put on for the second and third match. The reason why you would do this is, with Ichigaki's power to lower your opponent's attack by 1,000, M1 basically has 6,000 defense. And that is a lot, because not anybody in the entire Ichigaki team can hurt M2 on their own. And when it comes to Togoro, he needs to younger Togoro, he deals 4,001 attack, and he needs to throw out another card to deal minimum damage. So his attack is going to cost 2 instead of 1. So M2 is going to hold off the game for a while to let you get more resources in your hand. M3 is supposed to be your 3rd setup, because by then your opponent has a bunch of cards in the discard pile, which you'll have a higher amount of damage. If you go to a 4th match, hope you have Gatasable in the 5th slot, and then substitute out Ichigaki. Gatasable is a cookie-cutter card with a decent defense and a decent attack for a short amount of cost, and that's all he does. He doesn't do anything more special. He doesn't go with the team. He's a cut and paste of a generic guy. Is Ichigaki the best? No. He's more or less in the first set one of the subpar teams that just will do okay. That doesn't mean he's not playable. Ichigaki is a thought-out team. They're more, you have to think on what you're going to do. You have to set up correctly. You have to make sure you have the right cards in hand at the right time, and you'll be able to control your opponent. When it comes to people like Team Urameshi and Team Meisho, they're going to have a harder time regardless of the amount of spirit they get, or the cards they put on the bottom of their deck, or their techniques to do stuff, or Meisho's ability to choose who they fight. Ichigaki's power lies in later games, such as in sets 3 and on, because that's when the people as Seriashiki and Genkai are finding their niche, so to speak, and what they were to do. And by then, Ichigaki has the cards and better characters that will allow him to fight on par with anybody else. So there you have it. That's Team Ichigaki.